It was a bright morning. Sunlight came through the curtains and touched my face. I opened my eyes slowly and smiled. The air felt warm and soft. Then I looked around my room. It was a mess. Clothes were everywhere. Books were on the floor. My desk was full of papers, cups, and pens. Even the window had dust on it. I sat up and sighed. I really need to clean this place, I said to myself. I hadn't done a big cleaning in months. Maybe I was too busy. Maybe I was too lazy. But today felt different. The sunshine gave me some energy. I stood up and opened the window. A cool wind came in. It smelled like flowers from the park nearby. I took a deep breath and smiled again. Okay, I said, let's do this. I turned on some music. It was an old pop song that I used to love. I started with my desk. I put the papers in a pile. I threw away the old coffee cups. I wiped the surface clean. Bit by bit, it started to look better. Then I picked up my books from the floor. Some of them were novels. Some were notebooks from college. I opened one notebook and saw my handwriting. It said, "Dream big. Be kind. Keep going." I laughed. It felt like reading a message from my younger self. I put the notebook aside and kept working. Next, I moved to the closet. I pulled out clothes I didn't wear anymore. Some were too small, some were just old. I made 2 piles, one to keep, one to give away. It felt nice to let things go. The room slowly changed. The floor was clear. The bed looked neat. The sunlight now reached every corner. I played the music louder and danced a little while I cleaned. The mop became my microphone. I sang along, off-key, but happy. While cleaning under the bed, I found a small photo frame. It was covered in dust. I wiped it with my sleeve. It was a picture of me and my friends from high school. We were smiling under the same kind of sunshine. I stared at it for a long time. Where were they now? I hadn't talked to most of them in years. For a moment, I stopped cleaning. I just sat on the floor and looked at the photo. My heart felt both warm and a little sad. So many things had changed. But this photo reminded me of a time when life was simple. The music changed to a slow song. I let it play. I closed my eyes for a second. The sunlight touched my hands. I felt calm. Maybe cleaning was not only about dust. Maybe it was about finding lost parts of myself. When I opened my eyes again, I smiled. There was still a lot to clean, but I didn't mind. I knew this day was not just about my room. It was about me, starting again under the sunshine. After an hour, my room looked better. The desk was clean, the bed was made, the floor was shining. I felt proud of myself. Then I saw something under the bed. It was a brown box, a little dusty. I pulled it out slowly. My name was written on the top in black pen. I didn't remember putting it there. I sat on the floor and opened the box. Inside were old letters, photos, and some small things. A blue ribbon, a movie ticket, a small seashell. Each thing made me stop for a moment. I took out a photo. It was me and my best friend Emma. We were at the beach, wearing sunglasses and laughing. The sun behind us looked just like today's sun. I smiled. That summer was one of the best times of my life. Then I saw a small notebook. It had a pink cover and a broken corner. I opened it and saw my handwriting. The first page said, "Dear future me." It was a letter to myself. I wrote it when I was 16. My heart beat a little faster. I started to read it. "Dear future me, I hope you still like to draw. I hope you are brave. I hope you have real friends. Don't forget to dream. Don't forget to smile, even when life is hard. From you, age 16. I finished reading and sat quietly. The room was silent now. Only the wind moved the curtains. For a long time I didn't move. My chest felt tight. I wanted to laugh but also cry a little. I remembered how full of hope I was at 16. I wanted to tell that girl that I was trying my best, that life wasn't perfect, but it was still beautiful. I held the letter close to my chest. Then I looked at the sunlight on the floor. Dust was floating in the air, golden and soft. Everything looked peaceful. I whispered, "Thank you, younger me." It felt strange but nice to talk to my old self. Maybe this box had been waiting for me to find it. Maybe it wanted to remind me who I was. I smiled again and put the letter back in the box. But I didn't close it yet. Something inside still caught my eye. It was a folded paper, different from the others. It looked newer. When I opened it, I saw a name written in blue ink. Liam. My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't seen that name in years. I touched the paper, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity. Why was it here? What had I written? I wanted to read it, but I stopped. I suddenly felt nervous. The music had stopped playing. The room was quiet again. Only my heartbeat filled the silence. I put the paper down and closed the box gently. The sunlight still touched the walls, but the room didn't feel the same anymore. It felt deeper, quieter, like something had just changed inside me. I stood up and whispered, "Maybe I'll read it later." Then I took a deep breath and went back to cleaning. But my mind was no longer on the floor or the shelves. It was somewhere else, with that name, with that box, with the girl I used to be. I sat on the floor for a long time. The box was still open beside me. I could see the folded paper with Liam's name. It felt like it was calling me. But I didn't touch it again. I stood up and looked around. The room was clean, but my heart was not. Something inside me felt heavy. I didn't know why. I walked to the window. The wind came in, soft and warm. Outside, people were walking their dogs. Children were laughing in the park. Everything looked calm and normal. But my mind was not calm. It went back to the name in the box. Liam. It had been almost 3 years since we last talked. We were friends, good friends. Until one day we weren't. I tried to remember what happened. Maybe it was a fight, maybe it was my fault, maybe both of us were just too proud. I didn't know anymore. I only remembered his voice, warm, deep, a little tired. Suddenly my phone rang. The sound broke the silence. I jumped a little. My heart started beating fast. I looked at the screen. For a second I thought I was dreaming. The name on the screen was Liam. My hands froze. I didn't move. The phone kept ringing. My breath got shallow. I didn't know what to do. "Why now?" I whispered. It felt strange, almost unreal. 3 years of silence, and now this? I looked at the box again. The paper with his name was still there. It felt like the past had come alive. I didn't answer the call. I just watched the screen until it stopped ringing. The room became quiet again. The only sound was the wind moving the curtains. For a moment, I felt empty, like something had just slipped through my fingers. I sat down again and stared at the floor. Maybe I should have answered. Maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe he didn't even mean to call. But deep inside, I wanted to know. I picked up the phone and looked at his name again. It was still there in my recent calls. I could press one button and hear his voice again, but my fingers didn't move. Instead, I put the phone down. I closed my eyes. I told myself, it's okay. It's just a call. But I knew it wasn't just a call. It was something more. A voice from the past, knocking on the door I thought I had locked. I lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling. The sunlight made slow shapes on the wall. They moved as the wind pushed the curtains. I watched them dance and tried to calm my mind, Still, I couldn't stop thinking about it. His name, his call, that folded paper in the box. I turned off the music and closed my eyes again. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel alone. I just didn't know if that was a good thing or not. The next morning, the sky was clear again. Sunlight filled my room. The air smelled fresh, like a new start. I sat on the bed and looked at my phone. The name Liam was still there on the screen. I didn't call back last night. I couldn't. I was afraid. I picked up the phone, then put it down again. "Should I call him?" I whispered. My heart said yes. My mind said no. So I stayed quiet. I stood up and opened the window wide. The wind came in, soft and full of warmth. The curtains danced in the air. I closed my eyes and let the sunlight touch my face. Outside, I saw my neighbor watering flowers. A little boy helped her, holding a small blue bucket. They were laughing. The boy's laughter was clear and bright, like music. It made me smile. Then I remembered something. Many years ago, Liam gave me a small plant. He said, "You're bad at keeping plants alive. Try again with this one." I had laughed and said, "Challenge accepted." That plant had died in a month. We both laughed about it then. But now that memory made my eyes wet. I realized I missed his voice, not the past, just the warmth. Not the old story, just the person who once cared. I took a deep breath and looked at the blue sky. A few clouds moved slowly, like soft dreams. The world outside felt peaceful. For the first time in a while, my heart felt light too. I looked back at the phone. It was still there on the bed, quiet. The sunlight touched it, almost telling me, "Go on." I smiled a little. Maybe I didn't need a big reason. Maybe I just needed courage. So I picked it up again. My hand shook a little. I took another deep breath and pressed the number. The phone rang once, twice. My heart beat faster with every sound. Then a voice said, "Hello?" It was soft, familiar. I froze for a second. "Hi," I said quietly. "It's me." There was a pause. Then I heard him laugh, that same warm laugh I remembered. "Wow," he said. "I didn't think you'd call." "Neither did I," I replied, smiling. We didn't talk about the past. We talked about small things, the weather, our jobs, the sunshine. But it felt easy, natural, real. It was like opening a window after a long winter. When the call ended, I didn't feel heavy anymore. The air in my room felt new. The sunlight was still shining on the walls. I looked at the clean floor, the open window, and the little box on the bed. Everything looked simple, but somehow everything had changed. I whispered, "Thank you." I wasn't sure if I said it to him, to the sunlight, or to myself. Maybe all of them. The day slowly moved into evening. The sunlight turned soft and golden. My room was quiet now, only the sound of the wind outside. I looked around. The bed was clean. The desk was clear. Even the window glass was shining. Everything looked fresh, new, and calm. I sat on the floor beside the box. It was still there, open, waiting. Inside were the letters, the photos, and that old note from Liam. But I didn't feel afraid anymore. I took the note out and read it. The words were simple. "Thank you for being my friend. I'm sorry for the things I said. I hope one day we can talk again." I smiled. He had written this years ago, but I had only found it today. Maybe it waited for me, just like the phone call, just like the sunlight. I folded the note carefully and put it back in the box. Then I closed the lid. Not to forget, but to keep it safe. I stood up and stretched my arms. My body felt light. I opened the window a little more. The air was cool now, with a smell of rain far away. I made a cup of tea and sat by the window. The city lights were starting to glow outside. I took a small sip. The tea was warm and a little sweet. My phone buzzed. A new message. It was from Liam. "I'm glad you called today. It was nice to hear your voice again." I read the message twice. Then I typed back. "Me too." It felt good. I put the phone down and looked at the wall. The sunlight was fading slowly, turning the room golden pink. It was beautiful. I thought about how different the room looked now, so clean, so open, so bright. But the biggest change was inside me. The room wasn't the only thing I had cleaned. My heart felt clear too. I whispered, "It's okay now." The words felt soft and true. The kind of words you say when you finally forgive yourself and someone else. Outside, the wind moved the trees. A leaf fell past my window. I watched it float away, light and free. Then I smiled again. The sunshine was gone, but its warmth stayed in my heart.